Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. My name is Sabrina Filbert and I'm a makeup artist based here in Montreal. This is my first ever video. I tried recording it once before, but of course technical difficulties and me being a noob, so here we go again. But this is going to be a little Q&A session. I asked you guys on Instagram to ask me anything, and so you did. So we're going to answer some questions while I do my makeup. I'm going to use the same products as I did in my first attempt, but perhaps not necessarily create the same look. So how about we just get right into it? I'm going to start off with the eyes as always. I have my Viseart Theory palette. This one is in 4 Amethyst, so this is the purple one. This is what that looks like. Oh, can you see? There we go. Make sure it's in focus. So that's that. So I'm going to start off with that. I'm not going to go in with an eye primer or anything because this is just for fun and I don't see it necessary. 1 second though, I'm going to go get my brushes. Okay, so I got my brushes and we'll get right into it. Let's see. I'm going to start off with a medium fluffy eyeshadow brush that's still a bit dense. And I'm going to go in with the lightest shimmery shade right here. And with my super cute cat mirror, I'm going to use that to look into. Let's go. I'm just going to put this over my lids. I'm going to try my best not to block your view. Because I'm not having a primer today, the colors aren't going to be the most vivid, so as I blend, it's just going to get more and more washed out. So this is a great technique if you're a little bit scared of colored eyeshadow. Just don't worry about the primer. You can just go for a more natural look that way. Okay, our first question is from my friend Emily Jane. She submitted a bunch, so I'll answer those first. She asks, what makeup trends do you love and which ones do you hate? I don't really keep up with trends, to be honest. Oh, that's my cat. I don't really keep up with trends, to be honest, even though I probably should. But I think the main trend that I hate, which thankfully is no longer really a thing lately, is the very thick, blocky brow that used to be really popular on Instagram a few years ago. That and like really heavy contouring. Anything that's like contributes to the cake face look, if you know what I mean. And with that, on the opposite end of the spectrum, I'm really loving how the trends these days is veering towards more natural skin, glowy, dewy skin. Minimalistic looks. Like, I feel like people, as in the general public, are getting more creative with their makeup, but even at that, people still tend to veer towards clean, graphic lines. Like, using water-based eyeliners is really popular just to draw like lines on the face. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. That's more so my style as well. Anything that's like colorful and graphic but still clean looking, yeah, that's right up my alley. So I'm just adding a bit more shadow to my inner corner. And this is what we got so far. Okay, bring my brushes a little closer. I have like a bit of a clutter on my counter, so it's kind of hard to navigate. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with a dense pencil brush, small pencil brush like that. And I'm gonna go in with the medium matte shade right here. And what I'm gonna aim for is to kind of recreate my crease, because as you can see, I have slightly hooded eyes. My eyelid isn't completely covered, but there is like some extra skin there. Hold on, let's see if I can see this myself. Yeah, so if you like kind of poke where the top of my eyeball is, you can see where my crease could have been, but my eyelid decided not to do that, so instead I have the line of my fold much lower. So it can be a bummer sometimes, but it's okay, it's not a big deal. We just recreate the look on top. So with my pencil brush loaded with the medium matte shade, I'm going to go on top of that extra skin as if the hood wasn't there at all. That's my trick for working on hooded eyes. Just pretend that you don't have it, because if you close your eyes or like stretch out your eyelid and then go into the crease, then once you open your eyes and look straight ahead normally, then it's going to disappear. So my trick is to look straight on, neutral expression, don't tense up your eyebrows or anything, and then go in straight ahead on top where the hood is. And then that way, it kind of creates the illusion of that being the crease, even though it's not. Okay, so just watch, that'll make sense. My explanation is probably not the greatest, but it'll make sense. Okay. So you can see I'm going right above my hood, so to speak. And I'm just going on top, bringing the color back and forth, basically covering the entire length of that area. Now, it is a bit faint given that I'm not wearing a primer. I have a medium skin tone and I'm using a medium shade, but hopefully you'll be able to see the difference. Okay, so we're going to leave it as is for now, not blending it out just yet. I'm going to try to find a smaller brush. Okay, let's go with this one because why not? So, normally I would go in with an even smaller pencil brush, but just for the sake of ease, I'm just going to go with what I have in front of me. This is just a dense angled brush. And I'm going to go in now with the darkest matte shade. So the way I'm putting this on is I'm just literally tapping the surface with the blunt edge of the brush. You don't want to scrub your brush into the eyeshadow because not only it will make a mess, but you'll just pick up way too much product to do anything good with. Okay. Oh, let's answer the next question. Emily Jane asks again, how would you describe your style? In terms of makeup style, it's kind of like what I said earlier. I really like anything that's like clean but still bold and colorful. Lately, like most recently, I've been doing more like diffused looks, but I also really like graphic, sharp lines as well. I don't know, I feel like that's the best I can do when it comes to describing my style, because I feel like I'm still exploring what I like every time I do makeup, so I'm not sure if it's like strictly defined just yet, and I don't know if that is apparent or not, but yeah, I would say anything that's like still clean, bold, and fun. As for my clothing style, I used to be like really stylish. I still have a sense of style, but I don't really dress up, especially like now these days, but I don't know, my clothing style I would say is like neutral, classic, ordinary, nothing special. I really like solids even though I'm wearing stripes today. Black, white, brown, anything that's a neutral color, anything that's solid, anything that's easy to wear. If I were to dress up though, I think maybe you can compare my style to that of like an elementary school teacher. Like all my dressier clothes seem to look very like business casual somehow. Yeah. Okay, so back to the eyeshadow. I have my angled brush with the dark eyeshadow, the matte one. And I'm going to essentially kind of draw a line to help build on that illusion of the crease on top of the hood. So I'm going to focus it on the outer corner as well. Can you see the line? I basically just went straight out. And this is a good demonstration of how the shape changes with your expression. If I look straight ahead, it's a straight line. But as I move my eyes around, you can see how it's kind of curved slightly. And that's because your face has curves. No matter how straight of a line you draw, it's going to be curved. So this is what I got so far. You can see even if I raise my eyebrows, how it changes the shape. That's why when you're doing your own makeup, you don't want to look into your mirror with your eyebrows up like this, because as soon as your face is relaxed and like in the position that it is 90% of the time when you're out in the real world, it's going to look totally different than when you did it in the mirror. That's why I always suggest to have a straight face and look straight on into the mirror, so that way it is accurate to what you envision. Okay, I'm going to go in and do the other side. I kind of smudged a little bit, but that's okay. It's no big deal. We'll fix it later. So I got a line going on each side, as you can see. I think I'm gonna make like a triangle shape, like almost like a wing on the outside. Before that, let's move to the next question. What are you up to? Nothing. I mean, what's anyone up to these days? Staying at home, staying safe, doing the best that I can. In conclusion. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't know. I used to be the kind of person that really knew like how I wanted my future to look like, and I can like see everything before my eyes. But as I've grown older, like I guess it's maybe just, you know, living in reality, some things start to hit you, you know. Yeah, I don't really have like anything concrete as a vision in my mind other than having like my own studio as in a physical location to do makeup. That would be fantastic. But in terms of where I'll be, what types of jobs I'll be working exactly, that sort of thing, I have no clue. And that's okay. I mean, that's part of the fun of life. You don't know where life will take you, so we'll see where it takes us. And Emily Jane also asks, what's your favorite comfort food? Anything with cheese. Particularly mac and cheese. That's probably the number one for me. I like pizza too. I like sushi, vegetarian. Sometimes I really like burgers. Basically anything that's like American style, not good for you. Poutine, oh my god, so good. It wasn't until like a couple years ago that I actually had like poutine for the first time. Because I always thought it's just fries with gravy and cheese. Nothing special, right? Wait until you have it, okay? It's nothing special until you have it. I'm just finishing up my work here. Oh, am I blocking you? Oh, I'm so new with this, okay. So this is what I got so far. I've basically just drawn a triangle on the outer corner. I'm gonna go in now to the lower edge, same color, same brush. And I basically just went on the outer third of the lower lash line and connected it up to the triangle. Okay. I like where that's headed so far. I think now, let's go in with a different color. I have a flat eyeshadow brush like this. And I'm going to go in with the darkest shimmery shade right here. And what's our next question? Actually, I'm almost at the end of the questions now, so let's continue with the makeup and I'll save the rest for later. There wasn't a lot of questions, but that's okay. I appreciate you guys for sending them in. Okay, so with that loaded on my brush, I'm going to focus it on the outer third of my lid. Make sure I got that in there. And I'm basically going to go up, go in an upwards motion towards the point of that triangle that I just made. Now, I know I said earlier not to raise your eyebrows, but in context, I meant don't raise your eyebrows when you're doing like line work, essentially. But if you're really trying to pack on the color, and the cover a surface area, then you need to have the skin taut so you can cover everything. So raising your eyebrows helps in this case. I hope I'm not blocking your view. And that's what I got so far. Now to the other side. And there we go. That's what we got so far. Looking good. Now, I'm going to take a large fluffy blending brush. And I am going to go in with the lightest matte shade right here, ever so slightly dipping it in. You don't want to dig your brush in the pan, but just slightly dip it. I'm going to use this to blend. I'm blending only on the top, like outside edges of the lines that I created. I think it looks pretty good. Okay, so next thing, I am going to go again with another flat eyeshadow brush. I'm going to go back into the darkest purple, ever so slightly on the tip of the brush, and I'm going to reinforce the darkness of the outer corner. Just like that. Okay, I think that's pretty good for the eyeshadow. Oh, let's do one more thing. I'm going in with a very, very, very tiny flat eyeshadow brush, going back in with the lightest shimmery shade, loading it up, going on the lower lash line. Just like that. Awesome. I think that's good for eyeshadow for now, so we'll just put that away. Okay, so now what do I want to do? Let me go into foundation, I guess. I have the Quo Beauty foundation. This is shade Beige N4. I'm really liking the branding of this collection. That's what roped me in, so I wanted to try it because I remember the first time I tried Quo, and it was up until then, or up until now, the last time that I tried anything from them. I tried their false lashes that came with glue, and I was still learning about makeup. But unfortunately, the day I decided to wear false lashes was for my grad day in high school with this atrocious glue that I knew nothing about. So basically, it just was horrible. It looked horrible. I ended up just taking them off because I could not live with the idea of me having these pictures with these goofy lashes hanging off my face. Okay, so with the dropper, I'm just gonna drop a couple into my fingertips. I find that this foundation is pretty full coverage. You can definitely build it up, but it's also super thin in texture, which is awesome. So I'm gonna just dot it on my face. When I'm doing complexion work on clients, I'm pretty much always using a brush, even for moisturizer. But when it comes to myself, I'm all for hands-free. The less brushes I have to clean, the better. So I'm just blending it all over. I like to think of it like spreading icing on a cupcake. You want to make sure the whole surface is covered in an even layer, otherwise it's going to look lumpy. And I'm not a foundation wearer, so I'm not used to the look of having coverage. That was only about 3 drops or so that's pretty good. I started in the center and I diffused it out. So if you were to go to like the outer perimeter of my face, there's nothing there. Okay, that's good enough because I do not want to have like a full face of makeup. Next, I'm going in with the Quo Beauty Concealer in the same shade, Beige N4. I'm going to go a tiny bit under the eye, in the inner corner where I'm the darkest by my nose. You do not need to draw a whole triangle underneath your eye, okay? Don't draw a triangle underneath your eye. It's too much concealer. It's gonna make you look cakey and old. I mean, to each their own, but most pro artists don't do that. That is like an influencer trend. Okay, I'm going to dot the rest of the concealer on some scars I have. And I have like these dark areas by my cheeks, like under my cheekbones, so I'm just gonna put some there too. Like so. Now, I'm gonna let all the concealer that's on my dark spots sit for a bit, but I'm gonna start blending in under my eyes. See how I just did a tiny swipe and that just like did everything I needed it to do? You don't need to do a whole triangle because then you're going to be, having to try to blend it out and it's going to spread all over your cheeks and everything. It's just too much. You don't need it. Only use makeup where you need to have it. There we go. Eye concealer, there it is. Now for the spots, I just kind of do a patting motion like this. You don't want to smear it because then you're essentially just taking it away. You want to pat it on. There we go, foundation and concealer done. Not bad. Okay, what are we gonna do next? Let's do our brows. I have, where is it? I have the Glossier Boy Brow and the Brow Flick, both in black. These are awesome. I'm personally such a fan of the brand. It's definitely fab for those who enjoy like the no makeup look. Everything that I've tried at least is very much low impact. It's gonna be impossible to have a cake face with Glossier products. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with the Boy Brow first. I'm essentially just gonna brush up. I'm gonna focus on the front a bit so I can deposit more pigment there. And then on my other brow, do the same. And focus a bit on the arch because I'm missing some hair there. And after it's brushed up, I like to kind of bring down the tips of the hairs so that way they stay within like a certain frame. Okay, and then I go in with the Brow Flick and just fill in any gaps and really define the shape. This is a bit used, so it's coming out really light, so I don't have to be as careful with it, but if you have a brand new one, you really want to go in with a light hand, otherwise you're just going to have really harsh lines. Okay, that's one brow done. Now I'm going to try to do this so I'm not blocking your view. And if you feel like you put too much, you can just slightly press it and it'll take some of the color off. Okay, and now we have the brows done. Not bad, not bad. Oh, I'm getting a bit of sun over here. Ooh, that looks kind of cool. Okay, let's move on. So, brows are done, foundation is on. I'm going to go in with the Fenty Beauty Match 6. This is in the shade Amber. To me, it is the perfect contour shade for light to medium skin tones. It's like very cool toned. It's like perfect. So, we're going to do a little bit of contouring. I'm going to do a more, I describe it as a masculine style contour for this reason. Instead of just doing a line under the cheekbone and leaving it at that, I like to do this. I like to bring it down by my mouth in that shape. Because, I mean, this is the shape of your skull, but I call it masculine in the sense that I find that men that have a really defined facial structure, they always have the lines defined by their mouth like that. But yeah, I mean, everyone has this. If you press your face, you can feel where your bones are. And this is the sunken part right under here. You can feel it. So let's just bring that out a little bit more for some more definition. I have a pretty round face, so I like to counteract it a little bit. Who doesn't like to transform a bit, right? So there we go. I'm looking like a skull. And now I'm also going to do my nose. As you can see, the top above the bridge of my nose, between my eyes, is super narrow. And then down here, it's quite wide. So I want to bring some balance to that. I'm not trying to give myself a nose job. I want to bring balance. So do not draw two straight lines on the side of your nose because every nose is different. You really want to take a good look, straight on, neutral expression, to determine what is suitable for your nose shape. Remember that anything dark for contouring is to sink in, to recede. So you want to draw where you want to recede, and in the opposite way, you can highlight where you want to bring forward. Hence why I put concealer in the inner parts right here, because they're quite dark. I don't want it to recede any further because it's already quite narrow. So in that sense, I've kind of highlighted a bit. Now we're going to contour on the bottom half where it's wider, so that way it'll recede a little bit more, and then compared to the top part of my nose, everything looks a little bit more balanced. Hopefully I'm not blocking your view. So I do two lines, but only on the bottom half of my nose. This is what I start with. But here's the other part that I also add to it. And I haven't seen anyone else do this, to be honest. I don't know if it's like a unconventional thing, but watch. In addition to the two lines on my nose, I also go in on top of the nostril. See, that is just, I follow the curve a little bit. Reason being is that nobody's nose, I mean some people's, but not many people's noses are literally just straight down like that. You can still see a little bit of curvature from the nostrils, especially if you have a wider nose like me. You don't want to do two straight lines going down because it looks so unnatural and not quite nice in my opinion. So you want to basically contour according to the shapes you already have. And because it's a contour and it's dark, it's still going to have that receding effect. So let me just put this away. So can you see how instead of just two straight lines going all the way up the length of my nose, I also have it focused on the bottom half of my nose as well as going into the crease. There we go, let's call it that, going into the crease of my nostril. So now that's that, we're gonna blend it out. So, do not rub the whole thing because then you're gonna lose all of the hard work that you made drawing the lines. What I do is I blend on the outer edge. That way the color stays focused where you intended to put it, but it's still diffused along the edges so you can't really tell that it's a line as much. So, starting with my nose, on the outside, you can see I'm just touching the outside edge. And I'm just going to blend it away. So hopefully you can see how that's becoming less defined on the edge, but it's still concentrated in color. Do the same on the other side. I'm looking to make sure that you can see. So that's what we have so far. I see a lot of people, I feel like, I don't know if they blend out their nose contour or not, but it seems like they only do like a half blend, kind of like what I have so far, and they just like leave a stripe down the middle of the nose. Or perhaps it's from highlight, I don't know. Me personally, I don't highlight this part of my nose because I don't want it to stand out any more than it already is. So I just continue with the blending. And instead of blending in and out, I follow the line that I made. So I stay on the edge and I just go up and down. And see how this is much more blended than this side? See the difference? Do the same on the other side. And there we go. It's nice and blended. If you feel like you kind of crossed the boundary a bit too much, you can just wipe it away. Go down the middle, wipe it away a little bit. There you go. And I essentially do the same thing when it comes to the cheek contour. I just follow the line, stay on the outer edge, and go from there. So when it comes to the lower edge, I like to pull it down because think about it. If you have a light casting overhead, the light is going to make a shadow, and the shadow is going to cast downward. And because this is the hollow part of your face, this is where the shadow is going to stay. You're not going to find the shadow up here, so you don't want to smear it upwards. You want to smear it downwards. So this is what I do. I just bring it down. You can see how already that's much more diffused. And do the same on the other side. See what I mean? It's kind of like in the shape of a skull, right? Because that is the shape that it has. And now that I've blended out the bottom edge, you can kind of get the feel for the shadow that I was talking about. So now to blend the top edge, instead of doing the same motion, which will just blur the line altogether and defeat the purpose of drawing a line, I'm going to blend it like I did with my nose along the edge like so. And it's okay if it goes on top of your cheekbone a little bit. It'll just give you the appearance of higher cheekbones. There you go. See? Same on this side. And look at that. My face isn't that round anymore. Basically, all that's left is lashes and lips. So, with that, how about we answer the remaining questions? Okay. What is your fave and least fave thing about being a makeup artist? I love being a makeup artist. There's not much I can say I hate about, like, I don't think there's anything I hate about it, honestly. There's things I dislike, of course, like most things. I'm gonna curl my lashes while I think. This is the Shiseido eyelash curler, great for Asian eyes. I don't know if you can see the curvature. Oh, of course, because it's not in focus. There we go. I don't know if you can see the curvature, but it's not as deep as standard eyelash curlers. And even though I'm not Asian, I find that it really grabs every lash from corner to corner, so you don't have to like wiggle it around and do all of that kind of stuff. Okay, my least favorite thing about being a makeup artist would probably have to be dealing with people who are unorganized, as well as dealing with people that dealing with people that don't have a clue about makeup, but conduct themselves in a way as though they know what they're talking about, or they make demands as if they know what they're talking about. That to me is very frustrating, because then I have to, I'm always trying to assume the role of an educator where necessary when I'm doing my job. But there is a limit to that. I shouldn't have to explain to someone that, I can't, I don't know, what's an example? Oh, here's a good example. I had a woman a few years ago that asked me to remove her freckles. The context of the story is that I was doing some free work to boost my portfolio in the theme of natural makeup, and this woman asked for me to remove her freckles. This was like, a redheaded woman, like standard freckles all over. And even though, yes, it is technically possible, like, I'm not a magician, I'm not a plastic surgeon, I don't have like a laser or anything. the freckles are still gonna be there with the makeup on. So yeah, I mean, there's no way to go around that unless I did like a super heavy, full coverage cake face type of thing, which is not my jam, as I've said earlier. So, but for whatever reason, she had it in her head that it was possible for me to remove, she literally said the word remove her freckles. No, I'm not going to do that. Or another great example is anyone that is starting to have wrinkles around their eyes. I've had a couple incidences where I was doing, you know, an eye look, and they're like, oh, but, you know, I see like these lines here. Can you do anything to hide that? Girl, you have lines, you have wrinkles. It's okay. They're not going to disappear. If I put concealer on your wrinkly under eyes, it's not going to magically make the wrinkles disappear. And I mean, it's common sense for me, but I guess some people, they just don't know. But still in my mind, I'm like, how do you not understand that? Like, your face is your face. I'm not a special effects makeup artist. I'm not going to put like a prosthetic on top of your eyelid to cover up your crow's feet, you know? So I'm not really sure where people get these expectations from, but that is quite frustrating. But thankfully, for me, it does not happen that often at all. Oh, and this is the Maybelline Snapscara in blue. I don't know if it's called blue, but the color is literally blue. Can't read. The color name is Deja Blue, which is kind of funny. So yeah, that's the thing I dislike the most about being a makeup artist, is just, you know, having to manage expectations, dealing with unreasonable demands, I suppose. And my favorite thing about a makeup artist is just having the chance to be creative and have fun. Playing with makeup is a lot like just painting or drawing. And that was my thing before I discovered makeup. I used to, well, I was an artist, like a traditional artist. I did lots of pencil drawings, and I did some paintings, and I did some digital art as well. And I discovered makeup, and it really did change everything for me, because when I was working at, like, doing artwork, it was I enjoyed it. It was a very nice thing, but it was also a very isolating thing in the sense that I was always alone in my room or like in the house, just painting and drawing hours and hours and hours at a time. It's not a social activity. I mean, it can be, but for me, it was not a social activity. I was always by myself. So with makeup, I have no choice but to interact with people, which is a lot of fun. And especially when I was younger, it was super helpful in, you know, learning how to interact with people and develop relationships, because I consider myself to be an introvert. And I tend to overthink myself in social interactions and feel awkward and stuff. So it kind of like was a catalyst and a bridge for me to like open up, break out of my shell, and just be a bit more comfortable around other people. Not to mention that getting into makeup as a career has like let in some really good friends in my life, which is amazing. Like people I would not have met otherwise if it weren't for me doing makeup. I'm just going to go in on the bottom lashes. I'm trying my best not to cover your view with the mirror. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, next question. What's the best makeup remover in your experience? This is from Karen. I'll be honest, just like with any makeup product, I'm not loyal to any product. I don't think there's anything that's absolutely amazing out there, and there's many things out there that work. So, I mean, I don't play favorites. Any oil will do. So any skin safe oil will do. Don't put like cooking oil or Pam spray on your face, but you know, coconut oil, olive oil, jojoba oil, all of that will do. Micellar water is great too. Most makeup artists, including myself, use the Bioderma micellar water. I've also used the Garnier micellar water. They come in different varieties, but to me they're all the same if I'm being honest. Yeah, oil or micellar water works great. Also personally, I've been using the makeup remover. Is that what it's called? The makeup remover? But basically it's just like a cloth and you just, you know, wet it and then you scrub your face with it. That works. However, it's not as great as like having something, you know, like an oil or whatever to remove your makeup with. I also saw that recently there's some sprays that you can get that can melt down your makeup, which seem really cool as a concept, so I might try that one of these days. I realized I forgot some blush, so I'm going to do some blush. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to, instead of going with a pinky blush like I usually do, I'm going to go with the light one. This one is the Arbonne blush in Ballet. And I'm going to go in with a nice fluffy brush like so. And again, just tapping it. You don't want to scrub or dig into the pan. Just tap it and ensure that the whole top of the bristles are covered. This one, it looks like it's too light for me, but at least in real life, I don't know if it'll show on camera, but it is a nice color, I must say. So, I just like to put that on the cheeks going upward. I like to have all of my makeup, whenever I do my own makeup, I like everything to be up because I find that my face is quite round. So I really like a more angular look when I'm doing my makeup. I don't know, I think that showed a little bit, I'm not sure. But anyway, that's that. And that reminds me, I also need to do highlighter. This is the, what's it called? This is the Glossier Haloscope in Quartz. I think it's okay. I personally don't like the texture, but it works. I think it's great if you like wearing highlighter with no other skin makeup. But for some reason, I don't like how it feels with other makeup. It's kind of like sticky, if that makes sense. And same idea with the contour. I just like to blend the outer edge. And as you can see, I only put it on the highest point of my cheekbone. There we go. Okay. All that's left now is the lips. I'm trying to decide what lip color to go for. Let's see. Well, I usually go with like something pinky, but I think I'll go with like a nude today. Please excuse the tube, but this is the E.L.F. Eyelips Face Bare, what's it called? Beautifully Bare. Wait, or is that the color? I don't know. Ah, yes. This is the This is the Beautifully Bare satin lipstick in the color Touch of Nude. And it's literally that. It's literally just a nude color. Great for people with my skin tone. It's not too pale and it's not too dark. Also, it smells really good. The texture is that of a lip balm as well, so that's really nice. There we go. And last question before we finish. Brenda asks, are you a vegetarian? I'm not a vegetarian. I am pretty, I don't know if I can even call myself plant-based. I guess so. When it comes to eating and cooking at home, I usually like to have vegetarian meals, but when I'm eating out, there's no rules. I have considered like strictly going vegetarian and even vegan at one point, but I love cheese and like dairy so much. Love sour cream, yogurt's really good too. That's really what's holding me back, and I don't feel motivated enough to actually, you know, go down that path. So I'm perfectly okay with the way my diet choices are right now. So yeah, that concludes all the questions, and that also concludes the makeup. This is the look that we have. What do you think? So we created a nice, I guess you could say a smoky, purple smoky wing with a nude lip and some contour. So that concludes the videos. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I'm so happy and honored that you decided to stick around for my first video ever. I'd like to keep doing this and see what happens. So with that, if there's anything that you want to see from me, or if you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment or give me a message, and I'll happily get back to you. And thanks once again for joining me. I hope you have a great day, and see you next time.